One thing we judge first is not how much Rudy Vara can do, but how much our animals can take. We consider first our animals. If for some reason we see that it is beyond what we can ask from our animals, even though we can do that and more ourselves, then we put a stop. Because we consider very, very much our animals. By our animals, we mean our horses that we ride.
The Vaqueros Trail Ride has survived for 10 years because of the fine, hard-working people this ride attracts.
Texas heart, Mexican soul. I long for some place, any place I go. Texas heart, Mexican soul. Es porque traigo corazón tejano y también el alma mexicano.
Wherever he went, he was in boots. But later on in the last kind of half of his life, he had this hat, which, you know, we always said, Grandpa, take that hat off. But it was his pride and joy. And wherever he met somebody, he always had a Texas pin and gave it to them.
When I think of Rudy Vara, what comes to mind is joy. He was such an expressive, expansive, delightful person. Maybe in all the years I knew him, he may have furrowed his brow and frowned, but I don't remember it. I do remember the way his face would light up, particularly when he was with friends and doing things he enjoyed, like politics.
Mother was born in Texas, and Dad was born in Buna, Texas, which is East Texas. He was the oldest. He had like 6 brothers and a sister. So early on, I believe he would go to the old Gunther Hotel in San Antonio and shine shoes. And then later, I think he delivered telegrams. And one time, I think he found out that since he was so young, they weren't paying him as much as the others. So I think he kind of boycotted and went and, did something else. He was always trying to better himself.
My grandfather, while he was living in San Antonio with his brothers and his mom, decided he wanted to move to Baytown, where he had an uncle there that had a good paying job, and said, you should come to Baytown and try to work here, and you can help have a better life for yourself, before you start your family.
My father loved serving his country. He loved the fact that he was in the service with his brothers. He loved the fact that they all came home safe and sound and developed a family of their own and were able to thrive.
Rudy Vara and Miss Vara were instrumental of bringing the family as what they are now. And the family speaks for themselves because of what they were molded into by both of them. Their church involvement, community involvement, and when you talk to one, you talk to all of them.
And he knew a lot of people in high places, being a politician and a good, well-spoken man in English and in Spanish. And Rudy was very well-liked in the community, and I think that's what made Rudy a very good, strong person.
Later in life, he became a Republican and became a lone voice in a heavily Democratic area. So it was a challenge, and his message was for a better America, for a better city.
I do know he was a huge fan, great admirer, and friend of the first President Bush. President Bush had, I think it's safe to say, cariño, a great feeling for the Mexican-American people. I think he enjoyed the liveliness, the passion, the spirit that came and always does come from the Mexican-American community. And who exemplified that spirit better than Rudy Vara? So I think that was the essence of their relationship. Yes, they were both Republicans. They both had a love of politics, but I think it was that degree of affection for each other that was the bond.
He married a beautiful, wonderful wife. They had 6 great children and then 13 additional grandchildren. And then now we're in that second wave of children. But his family was his biggest legacy. And then besides that, I think it was kind of shaking things up, being a Republican, not going with the flow where everyone else was, and being a man, being his own man and being able to stand his own ground when he didn't have all the resources that people might have thought you needed to have in order to be that prominent or that vocal. I think his proudest legacy would be the formation of the Go Tejano Committee with the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo. And again, not because of having a committee within the rodeo, but it was his vision and his dream, along with 2 other folks that saw that the Mexican American students were in our schools, but they weren't benefiting from the scholarships. They had a conversation with the rodeo and said, hey, we're a growing population here. Our students need these scholarships. How can we be a part of that? And he was at the table that helped bring the now Go Tejano scholarships into all of our schools in the greater Houston areas.
It's all because I've got a Texas heart, don't you know? But I've got a Mexican soul. Es porque traigo corazón tejano y también el alma mexicana.